morning, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of ZF Today's Opening Bell, or how we call it here in Romania, ZF Deschiderea de astăzi. It's Tuesday, it's the 24th of February. We are entering a very busy week regarding the financial results, and we are discussing with a company whose stocks performed very well last year as well as year to date. And a company who published the financial results yesterday, AGRAR, and with us we have Peter de Boer. Peter is the CEO of AGRAR. Peter, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. It's great to see you again with all-time high, a new all-time high for the stocks. How are you? How is 2026 so far?
First, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm glad to be back on your show. We have quite some headwind in 2026. Okay, if we look just to the share price, I think we grew already over 30% just in the first couple of weeks or months, let's say, in this part. But of course, we see some headwind on the dairy market, especially on milk products at the moment. There are some sharp decreases in milk prices, but this is something that we see temporarily. And mainly we are focused this year on implementing our strategy that we announced last year, the 2025-2030 strategy. So it's really a year of execution in the AGRAR group. And if we look for the long term, we are really positive, let's say, for the dairy market, I would say, although we have some headwind at the moment, let's say. But that's the commodity market. It is volatile.
You're approaching RON, right, on capital markets, and a record of 100, almost 120 million euros for a company listed on AGRAR market. That's quite impressive. Let's see the financial results. What went well? What could have gone a little better? Where could it been better for the results?
We are really satisfied with the results. We announced initial budget last year in March. We updated the budget beginning of September, and we are even a bit above the updated budget, let's say, published in September. We estimated a net profit between 48 and 52 million lei. We reached now 52.3. So I think that is a great remark. 65% growth. We have a 20% growth on turnover to 230 million lei. It's a bit under the estimation of 215 million lei, what we estimated in the updated budget. That's mainly due to the fact that we had a sharper decline in milk prices in Q4 than we estimated, as well as due to the delay of the certification of the compost, the organic fertilizer. We decided to stock more of this product instead of to sell. So we budgeted originally to sell 3,000 tons last year. For this matter, we only sold 500 tons, but the certification comes closer, let's say. So I really expect it in the coming 1 or 2 months to receive this certification. So that are the main two differences. But still, 20% growth is significant with a milk price growth of 12%. So the company performed quite well on that part. And we had investment of 52 million lei. So it was a busy year, but we are satisfied.
So far, since you've listed in 2022, right? I'm looking at the numbers. Every quarter was with profit for AGRAR. In the last quarter of 2025, 9.4 million RON. A bit lower than the same quarter in 2024. What changed? The prices, the milk prices?
Yeah, the milk price saw quite a decline, especially the highest milk price last year we received in Q1, and then we saw a gradually decrease in milk price from quarter to quarter. So that is the main the main issue. It was sharper than expected. We estimated a small decline by the end of the year, but it was sharper. The main reason is, of course, by the end of the day, oversupply. But usually the cycle changed a little bit due to that we had last year in some countries in Europe mouth and feet disease, as well as blue tongue. So in that period, a lot of cows didn't calve, and they started to calve later on. So the big bunch of milk supply entered later into the market. And this will remain, at least for the first half year, is what we estimate, and we expect a recovery from the second part of this year. But at the moment, you can clearly see And somehow it's a pity, but that is how the agri sector works. If the price drops, farmers start even to produce more milk. That's the first stage, and we are still in that stage. Let's say we see in the Netherlands almost 7% increase in milk supply, in Germany over 5%. Also in Poland, we see increases in milk supply. So there will be, the pressure will remain for the coming months, we expect. After that, we will see herd optimization. So currently, we don't see in the figures on European level that more animals are slaughtered, but that will be the next phase. So first, farmers will produce more milk until it's not sustainable anymore, and then they will do herd optimization, or some companies will go out of production, and that we expect in the coming months to see. And if that happens, after that, normally the milk price will increase again. So that's generally how the system works. As well, we see in the US increase in milk supply as well, a small growth, but still a growth of around 2%. The weak dollar, of course, affects especially the butter market, but also Parmigiano, etc. So we have some headwind, but it's only for a couple of months, we estimate. I mean, if we look on the long term, the majority of farmers is over 57 years old. Only 12% is under 40 years old on a European level.
Okay.
So already between 2002 and 2016, it decreased from over 15 million farms to 10 million farms. Now we have 9.1 or 9.2 million farms in Europe. Especially a lot of small farms and medium-sized farms will disappear. By 2040, the estimate from the European Commission is that it will could even, if the trend continues, it could be reduced from 9 million to 3 million farms. So the outlooks are good, and that is also what we saw last year. Large milk processors, they merged with other companies. Friesland Campina merged with Micobel from Belgium. Arla with DMC. Arla is a Danish company, merged with a DMC from Germany, and they mainly do that because it becomes harder and harder for them to contract farmers. So by merging these while those processes merge, they secure their supply, let's say. So it will become harder and harder to attract new farmers, which is for the farmers in the future good, because it gives a stronger negotiation position.
Regarding the financial results, we saw that EBITDA grew much faster than revenues last year, and you've mentioned the milk prices normalizing in the next period. How sustainable is this 40% margin during this let's say new environment?
Yeah, so mainly due to the investment in the assets that we did last year. In total, we invested 52 million lei last year. It increased our effectiveness and efficiency. Think, for example, in the no-till technology, etc., that significantly reduces the production costs of feedstock, solar, etc. Of course, the compost, although it didn't contribute so much last year, but we expect that it will contribute to a larger extent in the coming years, as well as, of course, the growth in the number of animals that we have, and the growth in produced milk, that all contributed to this figure, that it grew faster than the revenue itself. How sustainable it is, if we look to our scenarios that we have presented, we estimate that on average, up to 2030, we will remain around the 40%, maybe a little bit above. Okay, we need to see exactly what will happen this year, but at least for the years afterwards, when enter the biomethane and more compost, more tons of compost in our business model, we are quite confident that we will stay 40 or a little bit 40 plus, let's say, on this margin. Especially
2030?
Sorry, no, go on.
Sorry. Finish.
No, so that will contribute even more to the EBITDA. Yeah. Okay.
That was my next question. So thank you, Peter. Some ambitious targets for 2030 regarding EBITDA, and I'm curious to see which growth drivers will deliver the highest, let's say, returns. The herd expansion, processing, green energy, vertical integration.
Well, it mainly looks to which indicator you will look like. If we look to turnover, from a most logical point of view, it would be the processing plant, but that is really a commodity market, and it's hard to contract that for half a year or a year a price. So the price will be more volatile. But if we look to the profitability as well as to the EBITDA of the company, especially from the biomethane project. We estimate a lot. If you look to the EBITDA, we expect in 2028 to have around that it will contribute to the EBITDA around 2.8 million, in 2029 3.1 3.2 million euros. I'm talking here, so let's say between 15 and 20 million lei in this case. So that will have a significant contribution, as well as with the compost. And also, if you look to return on investments, the profit margin for the organic fertilizer as well as for the biomethane project are of course significantly higher than for milk. So that are two projects that are really important and key pillars in our strategy, let's say, to sustain the growth that we estimate in the coming years.
I read in the financial report regarding subsidy for the AGRAR, and I want to ask you, this shortfall in subsidy, how does it impact the competitivity of the company, and what's your take regarding this subsidy, and if there are any discussions with the authorities to change the values?
Yeah, I mean, if we look over the years, we have lost millions of euros, even significantly more than that, let's say. And from our perspective, this is really not helping the market. If the aims are food security in Romania, if the aims are that the agriculture sector needs to produce sustainable food, etc., in an innovative way, where labor becomes more scarce, it's harder and harder to find people to work on farms, etc. We think you should support, of course, the companies who really add value to the economy, but also add the food security. I mean, we lost last year over 500,000 euros in this due to the reference date issue. The reference date is now 2018. It was a few years ago, even 2013, but we are still lagging behind. There are not really discussions at the moment to increase this date. It's mainly to preserve the old economy, I would say, and the more traditional farms, etc. So to maintain that. But from our perspective, you should use other funds, let's say, to create rural development or these kind of issues. The subsidies are not meant for that. So it has an effect, and it are quite to a large extent amounts which we could use further to increase welfare. We could further reduce emission. We could faster grow in compost lines, etc. So it has an effect. Another thing, what had an effect as well, was the price cap on dairy products, which is still not lifted, and we see a sharp decline also on the shelves of the supermarket at the sales price of dairy products. So from our perspective, it's really good to finally eliminate this. One of the main reasons we start to invest in this processing plant is that we want to be less dependent on the local markets, which is a pity. I mean, because there is a deficit, production deficit in Romania. Romania is an importing nation to these kind of products. But due to these kind of regulations implemented, we will look more to Greece, northern Italy. Also, we sell into Bulgaria to increase our exports, let's say. And the processing plant will contribute to that, because now we can almost, let's say, transport 100,000 liters is transported by almost a bit more than 4 trucks. And with the processing plant, we could deliver the same quantity to take water out of it with 1 truck, 1.2 truck, let's say. So that is a huge transport cost optimization, which through this we expand our geographic clientele base.
Usually when I talk with investors, the AGRAR comes quite a lot, mentions about the AGRAR, and they're looking, or at least the questions are regarding this biomethane investment in 2026, if I'm not mistaken, the final, not the final decision, the implementation. And I'm curious to see, or basically how you answered them regarding the business plan. How will EBITDA revenues, how will they look like under this investment?
Yeah, so we have incorporated them in our scenarios. If everything goes really smooth, we could even start production in 2027, but I estimate that production normally will start with a positive FID, so final investment decision, in Q2 this year. I think the main component for a positive decision is the injection into the national grid. This is still not finalized, but I must say I'm more optimistic here than on the price cap and the subsidies. Let's say that this will implement it this year. From sources, I think that the injection into the grid that will be possible. I think somewhere this year, so that looks good, and that of course without a positive decision on injection into the grid, there is no business case in this case. So that is the key pillar, let's say, key decision that needs to be implemented. But we are positive on that. And if I mentioned already from 2028, it's incorporated in our scenarios. As I said, in 2028, to the EBITDA, we expect that it contributes around 2.83 million euros, somewhere between there. And in the following years, that will grow a little bit with several hundred thousand euros per year. As well, if you think of the Koet 2 farm, which we expect to have approval from our shareholders in April, beginning of May. It's a new project financed by ING for around 10 million euros with an interest rate of 1.5% plus 1 month Euribor. Which we will normally start to construct later this year and to come in production in 2028. If we could connect that farm to the biomethane plant, it will significantly reduce the transportation cost, let's say, because then we have 2 farms that are connected with a pipe to the biomethane plant. So then the contribution to the EBITDA will be larger.
Peter, any capital increase plans soon to support the business?
No, for this year we don't have any. We have a lot of projects. So this year we implement the processing plant for 150,000 liters of production per day. That's the maximum production, let's say, of the Deschiderea farm. We will implement the first wheatgrass facility with 40 tons of output per day on the Koet 1 farm, which in time we estimate that it could replace 30% of its current feedstock with a constant protein level. It will come operational in the second part of this year. We will of course, we started with the AGRAR farm to produce compost as well. So there we are optimizing the process, and we will start with the Koet 2 farm later this year. So, and all the projects more or less are financed for this year. So there's no need for finance. Where we mainly look for a capital increase, it's mainly for the food cluster with the greenhouses that we are developing. We have selected the location. We will soon start the search for land to build this cluster on. There clearly we will do a capital increase, and that will be either next year or the year after, but that could be already next year, let's say, to have a capital increase there. But for the rest of this year, we just gonna execute this year.
I like this execute like a drill, baby, drill.
Yeah.
But instead of oil, it's milk.
Yeah.
Peter, next year transfer on the main market, that's still in place?
Yeah, it's still in place. Our goal is April, May next year. So we will go on roadshows this year to start discussion with the pension funds and largest institutional investors who are not allowed currently to invest on the AGRAR market, but on the main market. Also, we will have some meetings in May in some other European capitals as well with institutional investors. And there's quite some interest. So that looks really, really good. And we would like to diversify our shareholder base, mainly to add some institutional investors to become investor, but also, of course, in time to contribute to those capital increases. Yeah, that's looking good, and I'm confident we will succeed on that. Also for this year, we will, if there's a good chance, maybe we will try to add 1 or 2 institutional investors to our shareholder base. But in general, we would not like to reduce the percentage too much as our family, so that we talk only about a few percent, let's say. But for the main market, it is scheduled. We have a lot of preparation. We need to update our corporate governance structure, so we need to implement audit committees, remuneration committees. We will look to our board structure. Maybe we need to add some people there, let's say, to have a more diversified board of directors. So all these kind of things, they will be implemented. IFRS, we implemented it. We published also today an IFRS result. They are significantly higher due to the different valuation of biological assets. There we use the fair value method, while by Romanian GAAP we use more cost calculation. And we will start to also report every quarter from now on in IFRS as well. So on that part, we are moving forward. We need to select a broker, maybe some banks as well. That should all be finalized in H1 this year.
Any intention from private pensions? Did they called out? Did they reached out for a discussion?
Well, let's say in general, I think there is clear interest in the AGRAR. I think we have also proven we had two things. Of course, we needed in the beginning, and many things were mentioned. Of course, we needed to update our governance structure, but mainly that you need to have a market cap larger than 100 million. We also met in the last couple of years, at least so far, always, as I discussed with them, they were really enthusiastic also about the growth. Liquidity in our stock is really good. If you look to the arrow market, then we can compete many days already in periods with at least, let's say, the bottom few companies in the index of the main market. So I think everything is there. We have a clear strategy in a world where milk consumption, the agri-food organization, they expect that world consumption will increase with 21%. Okay, partially that will be also grown on farms, the supply in China and in some other countries in the global south. Nevertheless, there will be less and less milk in Europe, which will add, instead of, I think currently we have an oversupply of 14%, it will decrease by 2035 to 9% of oversupply, and it will go more into cheese and these kind of products. And also the consumption in Europe remains more or less the same, so it's not slowing down. So I mean, the outlooks are really, really good, I think, for the food sector in general, especially for larger competitive farms. So we have a good business case. And yeah, I'm really confident that we will attract them to invest, and the discussions are positive.
Peter, two more questions, please. Let's talk about a bit about risks, because we're seeing the weather, and we're seeing this rising utility costs, and I'm curious to see where do you see the main cost pressure for the AGRAR, and basically at the end of the day, how do you manage this pressure?
Yeah, especially now with a lot of headwind that we have on the market in Q1, and we expect it also somehow to continue in Q2. Not that it will decline much further, but at least it will not increase, let's say, so maybe around that. So we really focus at the moment, even more than we did before, on our production costs. We also contracted some external workers we had last year, also who worked on our farm. We made the decision beginning of the year to stop this, and we didn't increase the employees, so we tried to be even more productive with our current employees, let's say, to further reduce costs. But last year we had a really tough agricultural year with low yields, etc., due to climate change, and that's the main reason that we now start to invest in this wheatgrass plant, so that we can grow 30, maybe even 40% of the feedstock on the farm itself, where you don't need machinery, 90% less water, no herbicides, no pesticides. It contributes as well to our goal to produce by 2030 net zero milk, but as well it significantly reduces feed costs, but also the quality of the feed. We will have throughout the year 30-40% with a constant quality for the animals. So there are a lot of benefits, while we expect that the milk production of the cows will increase. So that's one thing we managed. Of course, we invested last year in solar panels on all our farms. So far, I think that contributes more or less 50%, let's say. Our goal is to have that higher through batteries, etc., in the coming years, to further invest in batteries. That could have a more significant contribution, but still support, as well as the no-till technology. So if we look to corn and to wheat, from preparation to the land to seeding, we went from 4 processes on the field and 3 processes on the field. It's now both one, let's say. So that is mainly how we manage that. As well as we will look in the coming years more into robotization, and we see a lot of the developments there go really fast. So we could think of robotization of the rotors, of simple tasks on the farm. Think of something like filling boxes with straw or these kind of things, let's say, and that will also have a further contribution, let's say.
And Peter, let's slowly transition as the last aspect of our discussion. Let's transition towards the conference on the capital markets, the ZEFE conference on the 16th of March. To which everyone listening here today is invited, and where you have a chance to ask Peter direct questions, because Peter will be a speaker there. And I want to ask you, how has the stock market helped the company, helped AGRAR to grow sixfold, so 6 times since the listing, market cap wise?
Now, of course, from the beginning, we raised this 5 million euros to take over the AGRAR farm. Then through this, we got enough body, let's say, or size, that we could also take over. Okay, it was with bank financing the Apold farm. So that was a significant support, let's say, to make that first step to become a larger company. So that, but also of visibility, and I would say of professionalization. I mean, although we are always focused on cost and these kind of things, but now we are really focused on delivering every quarter the best results that we can. It's not that easy always in agriculture, because there are a lot of variables. It's a commodity market. You have the agriculture itself, which is really voluntary, also as a commodity, but also on weather, etc. So we are really focused on that, to have a clear strategy. So also as an organization, we significantly consolidated. We are even more integrated than before, as well as on the professional level, the whole team. And I'm really proud of that, I must say. That is something I really enjoy to see. Also all the team members, because it's not with a few people, we do it with over 300 people every day. We have a lot of people who are more than 15 years in the company, or over 10 years in our company. So the AGRAR, it's really a family, not only family de Boer, but as a company, it's really a family company, I would say. And the growth is insane, and the commitment of the people. And for that, we are also so not comfortable, but we have a lot of trust that we can further scale in the coming 5 years, the AGRAR. Not to have a market cap of only 120 million euros, although you cannot completely control the market cap, but the goal must be in 2030 to be somewhere between 200 and 300 million euros of market cap.
Thank you very much, Peter. High expectations there from the investors, but so far the company, you and your colleagues, the management, so far delivered, and it fulfilled the promises to the investors. We're seeing in the price market 40%, almost 40% year to date, and I think 160 last year. Not to mention the 6-time fold since the listing. Peter de Boer, he is the CEO of AGRAR. Peter, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and have a lovely day.
You too, and I can't wait to meet you again on the 16th of March at our conference. Thank you very much. Mulțumim că ne-ați urmărit. Până data viitoare, fiind întins la investiții câștigătoare. Numai bine!